Good morning everyone, my name is Mohammed Danish bin Muhammad Haikel and I will be opening our group presentation titled Challenge of Human Rights Protection in Malaysia Society. For our presentation today, Malaysia serves as our case study. According to the Department of Statistics Malaysia of DOSM, Malaysia total population stands at 34.1 million in 2024 alone, with women making up 47.5% of or approximately 60.2 million of that total. The country is made up of a multiple ethnic group, including Bumiputra, Chinese, Indian, and other minorities community. And this diversity, while being one of the Malaysia's greatest strengths, also mean that if the issue of human rights is shaped by multiple factors or layers, such as culture, religion, tradition, and law that do not always agree with each other. The objective of our presentation today are simple. First, to examine the legal framework protecting human rights in Malaysia. Second, to identify social and cultural barriers that women face. Third, to look at real case examples that reflect this deepest issue. Fourth, to evaluate how institutions and organizations are responding. And fifth, the proposed practical solution going forward. And this topic is important because despite in progress Malaysia has made, women still face serious challenge. For example, in 2024 alone, the domestic violence cases hit a 3-year high with over 7,000 cases recorded by the Royal Malaysian Police, a jump of nearly 2,000 compared to 5,000 cases in 2023. On the workforce side, according to DOSM Malaysia Gender Gap Index 2025 report, the female labor force participation rate in 2024 stood at 56.5%, significantly lower than the male rate of 83%. Most concerning of all, women currently make up only 30.5% of the parliament members and 12% of state assembly members, far below Malaysian own national target of 30% human representation in politics. Human rights is not just a human issues, it is a human rights issues that affect the social, economic, and political growth of our entire nation. With that, I hand over to our next members of AFZARIFAH, who will walk us through the legal framework surrounding human rights in Malaysia. Thank you.
Thank you, Danish. I'm AFZARIFAH, and now I will explain the laws and policy that protect women's rights in Malaysia. First, women's rights in Malaysia are protected under the Federal Constitution, which is the highest law of the country. Article 8, Paragraph 1 states that all persons are equal before the law and entitled to equal protection. In 2001, Article 8, Paragraph 2 was amended to prohibit discrimination based on gender. This amendment officially recognized that women should receive equal treatment in areas such as employment, education, and public services. However, discrimination against women still occurs in reality. One important example is the Fadila Ahmad Saikin case in 2011. She was denied employment after the employer discovered that she was pregnant. The Malaysian High Court ruled that this action violated Article 8, Paragraph 2 because pregnancy discrimination is considered as gender discrimination. This case showed that legal protection exists, but unfair treatment against women still happens. Next, Malaysia ratified SHODAW in 1995. SHODAW is an international convention aimed at eliminating discrimination against women in political, economic, social, and cultural aspects. By ratifying SHODAW, Malaysia showed its commitment to improving gender equality. However, Malaysia still maintains reservation to some provisions related to feminine law and equality in marriage due to religious and cultural concerns. Besides that, Malaysia introduced the Domestic Violence Act 1994 to protect victims of abuse through protection order and legal assistance. Malaysia also strengthened workplace protection through maternity benefits and increased maternity leave to 98 days. In addition, the Anti-Sexual Harassment Act 2022 was introduced to provide victims with a better platform to report harassment cases. Overall, Malaysia has introduced various laws and policies to protect women's rights. However, challenges in enforcement still remain. Despite these laws and policy, enforcement remains one of the biggest challenges in protecting women's rights in Malaysia. Many women are still afraid to report abuse or harassment because of fear, shame, financial dependency, and victim blaming attitude in society. Some victims worry about damaging family relationship or being judged by others, causing many cases to remain unreported. Another challenge is that legal protection does not always guarantee effective implementation. Some victims face difficulty accessing legal aid, shelter, counseling, and support services, while others may feel that authority will not take their complaints seriously. Domestic violence also remains a serious issue in Malaysia, with thousands of cases reported every year despite existing legal protection. Sexual harassment is another ongoing problem. According to a 2019 YouGov survey, only around 53% of Malaysians who experience sexual harassment report or share their experience because many fear embarrassment or believe that no action will be taken. This situation shows that laws alone are not enough. Stronger enforcement, public awareness, education, and change in society attitude are equally important to ensure women receive proper protection and support. Overall, Malaysia has made progress in protecting women's rights, but challenges in enforcement and societal attitude still remain. Now, I would like to pass the presentation to NAZHAN, who will further explain the social and cultural challenges faced by women in Malaysian society today. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is NAZHAN, and for my part, I will discuss the social challenges faced by women in Malaysian society, especially the cultural and societal barriers that continue to affect women's rights and equality. One major challenge is patriarchy and traditional gender roles. In many communities, women are still expected to focus mainly on household responsibilities, while men are viewed as the main leaders and decision makers. Even though Malaysia has modernized, these traditional expectations still influence society today. Women who focus on careers or leadership positions are sometimes judged more harshly compared to men, and this limits women's opportunities and freedom in society. Another important issue is workplace discrimination. So, many women still experience unequal treatment in terms of salary, promotions, and leadership opportunities, even when women have the same qualification and experience as men. They are sometimes paid less or overlooked for higher positions. Some employers also assume that women will prioritize family responsibilities over work, which affects their chances for career growth. According to United Nations Women, women around the world still face barriers in economic participation and leadership position, showing that workplace inequality remains as a global issue. Stereotypes in education and politics also remain a challenge. From a young age, girls are sometimes encouraged towards careers considered more suitable for women, while leadership roles are dominated by men. According to United Nations Women, women make up only around 27% of parliamentarians worldwide. In Malaysia, women are also underrepresented in politics because society often views men as stronger leaders. This discourages many capable women from participating in leadership and decision-making roles. Besides that, there is also a difference between rural and urban areas regarding awareness of women's rights. Women in urban areas usually have better access to education, legal support, and awareness campaigns. However, in some rural communities, traditional beliefs are often stronger, and awareness about gender equality may be lower. This can make it harder for women to seek help or fully understand their legal rights. Overall, these social and cultural barriers show that protecting women's rights is not only about laws, but also about changing society's mindset and attitudes. Real progress can only happen when both men and women work together to challenge stereotypes and promote equality in everyday life. And with that, I will now pass the presentation to Farah for the real-life case examples. Thank you.
In 2018, 41-year-old Cik Abdul Karim made national headlines when he secretly married an 11-year-old girl as his third wife in a ceremony held across the border in Thailand. NURUL only found out when one of his wives went to the police, and the investigation revealed the girl was not attending school and her own mother had told him she was too young, but the marriage still proceeded. UNICEF described it as shocking and unacceptable. Malaysia's Human Rights Commission also warned that allowing child marriage under religious justification enables exploitation by child predators. However, what's more concerning is that this case was not illegal under existing legal frameworks. Malaysia runs dual legal system, which is civil law for non-Muslim and Sharia law for Muslims. Under the constitution, both courts operate separately, which means Muslim women are often confined to a single legal system that may fail to protect them. Meanwhile, civil law sets a strict minimum marriage age of 18 and grants equal standing in divorce proceedings. However, their access to justice is still limited by procedures and delays within the high court system. Under Sharia, the minimum age is 16, and while Muslim women do have some protections such as FASAQ for cases involving abuse or neglect, men can still end marriage more easily, while wife must prove specific legal grounds if the husband refuses to cooperate. This means the legal protection a woman receives can vary depending on her religion. Although child marriage declined from 1,035 cases in 2022 to 923 in 2023, the loopholes remain open and vulnerable. Girls may continue to fall through them. Nur Hidayah experience is not isolated. In 2024, police recorded 7,116 domestic violence cases, up from 5,507 the year before, with nearly three-quarters of victims being women. Between 2015 and 2025, an average of 5 rape cases were reported every single day, and these are only the ones we know about, as many survivors never come forward. Women in rural areas, especially around ASRI communities, face additional struggles that rarely make headlines but remain very real. Nearly 46% of young girls lack access to sanitary products, forcing them to miss school and fall behind in studies. Some are forced to skip meals to afford sanitary pads or use coconut husk and banana leaves that expose them to serious infection. This contributes to early marriage and repeated pregnancy, worsened by limited healthcare and access in rural areas. Although Malaysia's Human Rights Commission recognizes menstrual health as a human rights issue, their struggle continues to be overlooked. These cases reveal not just individual acts of violence, but the failures of a deeply flawed system. When protection orders become meaningless and repeated reports fail to protect victims, survivors are left vulnerable and exposed. If domestic violence continues to be treated as a private matter rather than a serious crime, the system will keep acting too late after repeated failures to intervene.
Today, I will explain about institutional response in Malaysia regarding human rights, women protection, and social justice. Many institutions play important roles in helping vulnerable groups and protecting their rights. These institutions include NGO, government agencies, Hakam, and international organizations. First, NGO. Actively help victims and raise public awareness. Women aid organizations provide shelter, counseling, and legal support for women facing domestic violence and abuse. According to WAO 2024 Impact Report, the organization handled almost 5,000 hotline and counseling consultations, while more than 2,600 women receive social work intervention and dozens of women and children receive emergency shelter protection. In Malaysia, domestic violence remains a serious issue. Police records show more than 30,000 domestic violence cases between 2020 and September 2024, including over 7,400 cases reported in 2021 alone. Sisters in Islam promote gender equality, women's rights, and justice from Islamic perspective. The organization discusses issues such as domestic violence, child marriage, polygamy, and women's access to justice in Sharia law. However, sisters in Islam is also controversial. Some religious and conservative groups believe the interpretation of Islam are too liberal and may challenge traditional teaching and local culture value. Despite this criticism, the organization argues that Islam supports justice, equality, and protection for women. Meanwhile, Tina Ganita protects migrant workers and victims of human trafficking by providing legal aid and opposing exploitation, including cases of migrant worker abuse and poor detention center conditions in Malaysia. These NGOs play an important role in supporting victims and encouraging social change. Besides NGO, the government also responds to the Ministry of Women, Family and Community Development. The ministry developed policy and programs to protect women, children and families. Through welfare and protection program, thousands of women and children have received counseling, financial aid and temporary shelter support. In addition, the Human Rights Commission of Malaysia monitors human rights conditions in Malaysia. So HAKIM investigate complaint, publish report and advise the government on improving human rights protection. One major case involved the enforced discipline of Pastor Raymond Koh and Amri Chemai, where HAKIM concluded that both cases were linked to enforcement. So HAKIM also raised concern about immigration detention center and the treatment of refugee and migrant workers in Malaysia. However, its recommendations are not legal binding, which limit its enforcement power. International organizations also influence Malaysia's response. The United Nations has repeatedly raised concern about child marriage, refugee protection, and gender discrimination in Malaysia. One important issue discussed at the UN involved Rohingya refugee, where international body argue Malaysia to improve protection and humanitarian support. Malaysia currently hosts around 180,000 refugees and asylum seekers, including more than 100,000 Rohingya refugees. Studies also show that Rohingya women in Malaysia face high risk of violence, discrimination, and limited access to justice because they doesn't have a legal refugee status. Meanwhile, the ASEAN promote regional cooperation on human rights issues through discussion and agreement among state members. In conclusion, challenges such as weak enforcement, financial limitation, and political resistance still reduce the effectiveness. Therefore, stronger cooperation and commitment are needed to ensure better human rights protection for everyone.
My name is Danish, and for my part of this presentation, I will discuss several recommendations that can help strengthen the protection of women's rights in Malaysian society. Based on the issues presented today, it is clear that while Malaysia has made progress in promoting gender equality, many women still face challenges. Therefore, to address these issues, stronger and more practical solutions are needed from both institutions and society. First, there must be stronger enforcement of existing laws and policies that protect women. Although Malaysia has laws such as the Domestic Violence Act and Anti-Discrimination Protections, enforcement remains inconsistent. Many victims still hesitate to report abuse because they fear social stigma and do not trust the authorities will protect them. In some cases, victims who speak up may risk losing their jobs or being blamed by society. This shows that the current system often fails to fully protect women and hold offenders accountable. To strengthen enforcement, Malaysia should provide better training for police officers and legal professionals in handling gender-based cases to ensure faster investigation and introduce stronger penalties for offenders. Second, public awareness campaigns and education reforms are essential in changing societal attitudes toward women's rights. Many gender inequalities are deeply rooted in traditional beliefs and social expectations. To create long-term change, education about gender equality must begin from an early age. Schools should promote values such as mutual respect and shared responsibilities between men and women. In addition, awareness campaigns through social media, universities, and community programs can help challenge harmful stereotypes and educate the public about women's rights. When society becomes more informed, discrimination and stigma can gradually be reduced. For the final part of our presentation, I would like to conclude by emphasizing the importance of collective action in addressing the challenges of women's rights protection in Malaysia. Youth have the power to reshape future attitudes and social values. As the next generation of leaders, students can challenge outdated stereotypes and promote equality in their own communities. Through activism and community engagement, young people can influence conversations and push for meaningful social change. Small actions such as supporting women's voices and standing against discrimination can create a larger impact over time. Grassroots organizations also play a crucial role in supporting women and driving reform. Community-based groups often provide direct support to vulnerable women, including counseling and safe spaces. They also help raise awareness at the local levels, especially in rural communities where access to information and support may be limited. Their work helps bridge the gap between policy and real-life impact. Looking back at our presentation today, we have explored the challenges of women's rights protection in the Malaysian society from different perspectives. While progress has been made, the reality is that many women in Malaysia still face unequal treatment, violence, and limited representation in important spaces such as politics and leadership. This shows that achieving true gender equality requires education, accountability, and cooperation from every part of society. To conclude, women's rights are not only women's issues, they are human rights issues that affect the future of the entire nation. Thank you.